everyone, welcome to part 2 of our Gary Pashley Brothers in Arms Memorial Build of the Great Wall Hobby 172 F-15E. So today we're going to deal with mottling, fading, highlighting, post shading, all the paintwork we did in part 1. We're going to mask off and paint all our metallic areas, the nose cone, and then we're going to get all the decals down and get a wash on it. So we're going to make good progress today. So without further ado, let's get into it. Hey everyone, please subscribe to the channel, click the bell notifications, get notified of our latest videos, give the video a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and leave a comment. I do read and appreciate every comment you guys and girls leave behind. I may not reply to them all, but they are all appreciated. And there's a link in the description of the video that takes you to a big long list of all handy videos and a lot of the products I use in my videos. You now have the chance to support the video content creation by using Patreon or the PayPal me link in the description down below. All the videos will always remain free to watch. This is just your chance to help support the videos. We begin today where we left off last time. Last time we got a lot of base colours down, and today we're gonna do my way of modulating, fading, highlighting and mottling the paintwork. So we've got the base colour we saved over from last time, and I've done a little bit of Mr. Colour C1 white into here, just a little bit to fade it and make it a bit lighter than the base colour. I'm going to thin it a little bit more because we're going to need this to spray a little bit finer for us, and we're going to attempt to fade the centre of panels and in between panel lines and what have you. Now, the way I do it might not be the way a lot of people do it. There's many ways to do this. You can pre-shade, you can pre-mottle. I like to post-shade. I always find it gives me better control. Like I say, not the most normal way of doing it, but I think it works okay. And if you follow this guide, I'm going to cover it a little bit more in depth than I usually would. So like I say, we've lightened and highly thinned the base colour. We've got our 0.2mm apex, we're about 15 psi. And as you can see, we're just going to lightly fade any panel lines or anything like that, any areas, as much as we can. Now, we're not going for complete accuracy. I don't want this to look like a checkerboard or, you know, a chessboard. I just want this to look random, and the way it comes out at the end, I don't think it looks too bad. So, like I say, you don't have to follow my way, but this is how I do it. So, like I say, with the first go over, we've gone over the base colour. Second one, we've lightened the base colour, and we've got our finer 0.2mm apex. I'm just trying to fade all the panels. So, just the centre, just add a little bit of lighter paint in the middle. And then we'll come through with darker paint, and then lighter again, and then mist over a highly thin base colour when we're done. So don't get too hung up on this. Like I said, there's many different ways of doing it. This is not, I'm not saying this is the right way. It's just the way I do it. So you can see we're fading all the centre of the panels, and any panel lines, any areas, anything that will hold a kind of centre fade and look pretty normal. So just going to work our way around slowly. And as you see, I'm not being too accurate. I could get a lot closer and get this a lot finer. But like I say, I want it to look random. I don't want it to look too checkerboard, too uniform all round. So like I say, just random painting. Not any real care. Just kind of taking our time and working our way around. Like I say, we're going to come back through with a darker tone, this lighter tone again, and then the base colour. And it'll break it all up and hopefully make it look a little bit more subtle. So, like I say, we're going to spend a good 10 minutes here. I've sped it up 4 times in quite a lot of places. So there's a good near, 40 minutes worth of painting here, which is what it took me to do this. I'm going to cover in full. Still on the lighter tone, but you can just see as I'm going around, just fading here and there. No real pattern, just pretty random. And we want it to look as random as possible. Like I say, you could perfectly pre-shade this, like a fine grid pattern, which is what a lot of people do. I used to do it as well. But I found this way just works a bit better. Whatever you do, make sure you got the lid on your airbrush because you don't want to spill any. And practice. Muscle memory is key here because that's what's going to give you control of your airbrush. Now with the lighter tone done, you can see all the lighter tones on the aircraft. I've got a bit of C8 black from Mr. Colour. And we're going to darken the tone. Add a bit more level and thinner in there to get it much thinner. That enables us to spray thinner lines. And we're going to go around and we're going to post shade all the panel lines. So we went in the centre of the panel lines last time. This time we're going to go around them. So we go around the flaps and the ailerons and what have you. We'll go around all the tail pieces too. And again, I could get in here really close to the airbrush, really low pressure, and get this absolutely perfect, crisp, clean grid pattern I don't want that. This is where I want this random pattern, because it'll all tie itself in together at the end. So like I say, many ways you can do that. This is my way. I'm just going to go around, and there's a panel line or a row of rivets. We're going to try and follow it with the airbrush. Now, it don't have to be exactly accurate, like I'm saying, because that's not what we want. I'm going to repeat this so everyone's fully aware, because it's going to look very random, look like, oh my God, what's he doing? But we're just going to give a very vague outline to any panel lines, so that when we come back and fade it later, it will add a mottled effect. You'll see what I mean at the end, how it will all tie together. So 2 steps, fade it first, then we're going to highlight all the lines and rivets and what have you, and then we'll come back in a minute. So I'm going to speed this up. I have a little bit of music on, because it's about, I think it's about 5 minutes of painting condensed into about a minute. But I've just thought I'll show it in depth for people who've never done it before, because a lot of people building these for Gary, they've never built aircraft before or not built them for a long time. Like I say, so many different ways of doing it. It can be a bit of a minefield. Try my way. If you don't like it, look for others. There's plenty of videos out on YouTube. But here we go. Right, with all the actual panel line highlighting now, we concentrate on now adding some darker sections into the middle of our faded section. So again, no need to be completely accurate. Try and just break up the faded part of the paint. So that way you're not left with a big block of fade. And then we'll come back in a minute and add a bit of the faded paint and break up the darker. So that way we end up with that mottled look. So as you can see, as the paint dries, the shading lightens up a little bit. It's not as intense. And the same will go for the mottling. So it's going to go around all the centers and just randomly, you see how random it is, add darker sections. Okay, with all those darker sections done, we've now got the lighter tone of paint again, and we're going to very, very randomly and sporadically add flashes and bits of the faded paint through any darker sections. So any darker areas of the post shading we've added with the dark colour paint, we're now going to break up again with the lighter tone of paint. You can see how the planes come together now. So basically, we're just going back and lightening up the darker bit we just added. So that way it breaks up big areas and just gives it that mottled look rather than it looking like a checkerboard pattern, which is what I was saying before. So if you're not happy, you can repeat this. You can start all over again, put a base colour down and start all over. There's no right or wrong way of doing this. All aircraft weather differently. It's just how you perceive how it looks. And for me, this looks about right. So I'm going to happily go around till this is all done and just keep breaking up any dark areas. You see, we're getting there now. We are. Obviously, we've got the sides and underneath to do as well. So just take your time. Work your way around and keep going. There's no rush. You can come back. You can add more. You're better to add more, add less than add too much. You have to go back and fix it. And obviously, don't forget about the underneath as well. Okay, once we're happy that we've faded all those darker areas, we've now got a highly thinned version of the original base colour. I'm just going to go around and lightly go over any areas that are a little bit too more prominent than any others. So that way we're blending in all the fading and highlighting we've done. So you can just about see it now. On camera, it always looks more prominent. The camera and the lights always pick it up more. It's not as prominent to the naked eye. You want to just be able to see it. If you're going to clear coat for decals and weathering, you are going to have to make it a bit more prominent because you will lose it through the clear coat. I don't clear coat for decals and weathering, so for me, it's not an issue. How it looks here is how it will look at the end. We'll just go around, very light thin coats, and just keep going around. Again, less is more. You're better to add less than ruin your hard work. Once that's done, we've got to move on to masking up our heat shielding on the tail of the aircraft. A little bit fiddly to do. I kind of went back in time here a little bit because if you look at the fuselage, there's a few decals on. Because for some reason, completely distracted, I completely forgot to do this. I also need to paint the nose. So there's about 6 decals on the aircraft. We need to be very careful because masking tape will rip off decals. So we need to take our time here. As you can see, just it's going to be a whole load of masking tape. Follow the instructions, look at real life reference pictures, and you'll see where the heat shielding goes. But we just need to carefully mask it all off, avoiding all our decals. So make sure you do this first until we've got it all masked off. And like I say, I'm going to use the idea of the world supply of masking tape to do this. If I hadn't had decals on, I would have put cling film on, but I've seen cling film rip decals off before, unsealed decals. So that's a big no-no today. So sadly, we're going to waste an entire forest worth of masking tape, as you can see. And I've also banked it up at the front so we don't get any overspray down the front. And we'll do exactly the same over the top for the top section too. So we've got some Mr. Hobby Super Titanium now, thinned with Mr. Hobby Rapid Thinner, about 50%. We've got our 0.2mm apex. I'm just going to lightly apply a couple of coats of this, build it up nice and slow until we get a nice metallic sheen over the grey. Painting silver over grey isn't the best way. I normally go over black, so you are going to have to spray it a little bit more than you think you will to make sure it's fully covered. Covers well over black, grey, not as much. We're also going to have to mask off as well and do the very end rings as well. Like I say, a few light coats, building up slowly. Again, should have the lid on the airbrush really, bit of a silly mistake to do. If you spill any paint, which is easily done, we've seen me do it before, it can ruin all your hard work. So put your lid on, I'm an idiot. Just be careful spraying, don't get any overspray where you don't want it. Super metallics go down great. They spray absolutely beautiful. Metallic finishes are absolutely fantastic as well. So I'm more than happy with that. So we light that off, paint that on, let it dry off for a bit, and then we can mask off and paint our nozzle ends as well, which I used TS30, I believe it was. So this is thinned with Tamiya normal lacquer thinner. This to be decanted from the can, 0.2mm apex. I'm just going to put a couple of light coats down, building it up slowly until we get the nice colour difference that we require. Obviously, we can weather this later on, but for now we want the base colours down so we can get our decaling done. A little bit out of focus. Camera's focused on the airbrush, you know, as you do. But yeah, just some light coats. Don't flood it because you don't want it to bleed through the masking tape. And really put your lid on. I'm an absolute idiot doing this because I'm seconds away from disaster here. But hey ho, and there we go, unmasked. A whole ton of masking tape. Absolutely ridiculous, but hey, it is what it is. Perfectly masked, no bleed through, nice colours, nice vibrant metallics, and our paintwork's looking good as well. Like I say, don't forget the camera will over-exaggerate a touch. It's not as prominent to the naked eye. it'll come alive with our decals though. We also need to mask off and paint our nose as well, because we should have done this in the first place. I've gone for a very slightly lighter tone of grey because it's not immediately obvious on a lot of the F-15s the nose cone colour. And if you look at 10 different F-15s, you'll see 10 different colours. So I just went with a lighter colour. And as you see, unmasked there, can't really see it, but you can see it if you look closely. Decals now. So we've gone back in time. This is before we masked up our metalwork and the nose, because I was stupid and I forgot. We've got our 2 Bobs decals. We are going for the Pontiac scheme, the Firebird scheme, because obviously we're doing this as part of Gary Pashley's memorial build. Gary loved the Pontiac Firebirds. This comes with the Firebird logo off the bonnet of the Pontiac and Firebird name on the side. So what the lads said, it's very apt and they're right. So brilliant decal set from 2 Bobs. There should be about 12 different schemes in this, all sorts of stuff. Lovely scheme. And I passed a couple of sets on to a couple of other lads as well, so they can do different schemes from this squadron as well. 494th, one off 493rd that Gary loved. It's as close as I could get, so this is what we settled on. Decals laying down, beautiful. We've got no clear coat here. We do have a very matte paintwork, so we need to be very, very careful of silvering. So we'll be applying heat, we'll be applying our decal solutions, and if you ever notice any silvering, give the decal a couple of slices with your craft knife, very lightly, and then soak it in decal solutions, and it should get rid of it. But do remember, you don't always have to clear coat. It's a preference. It's not a necessity. As long as your paint works fairly smooth. And I went all over this with a 3000 grit Tamiya sanding sponge before I decaled. As long as your paint works smooth, doesn't have to be gloss. You can have gloss paintwork that's not smooth. You get the decals fine. I think I had 1 or 2 that showed a little bit of silvering, and I literally applied a little bit of heat, gave it a little bit of a slice, and hung some of UMP's strong decal solution in there, and that worked just fine. We've got a lot of decals to get through, so we're not going to hang around because we'll be here all day. I'm going to stick some music on while we get some of these decals down. Some are trickier than others, but they all responded well to the UMP decal solutions, and no real issues at all. Tons of stencils to do, but hey, that's part of the course. You can see it there on that sheet. There's a lot to go on, including these high visibility markings on the wings and the sides. But overall, decals went down really well. Right, with all the decals down, it's time for a wash. So we've got some Tamiya enamel panel line wash. We've mixed some grey with some black to get a very dark grey colour. I'm going to go over every area of this aircraft. It's enamel paint over a lacquer paint, so it'll be just fine. No clear coat at all. We do want some of this to stick to the fuselage. You can be as careful as I am here by placing it on all individual lines, or you can just go whole hog like I will do in a minute and just put it everywhere. So just make sure it's thinned and make sure you apply it evenly. Right, as you can see, we've got the wash everywhere we can now, anywhere. One area to be careful of is by the canopies because it can seep underneath. As long as you've got a canopy that'll come off, it won't cause you any issues. But again, save work later on. As you can see, I've given up doing it individually and I'm just going around and spreading it all over the aircraft. This is the look we want. And afterwards, we get a clean piece of tissue. Let it dry for half an hour. You can kind of get away sometimes without using any mineral spirits, but I've got a little bit of Santador on here just to remove it. We don't want to remove it all. We do want to leave some of it behind. Obviously, we want to leave it in the rivets and the panel lines, but I also want to leave some on the fuselage as well as a bit of staining, a bit of grime, or what have you. And again, it'll add to the look of the aircraft. So particular areas it will gather, and we're going to leave it there. But as you can see, it's added a real nice look to the fuselage, and it's given it a sheen as well, which is probably the sheen we'll be left with at the end, because we will end up with a semi-gloss clear coat on this, which I never normally do. Normally go matte, but we're going to go semi-gloss on this time. And just pay particular attention to any recesses or any areas. And obviously you are going to get it on your hands. You will end up with fingerprints. Make sure you rub those off as well. So it takes about half an hour in a warm room to dry. Leave it till it is dry. You don't want to drag it out the panel lines. And then just take your time, very carefully, with some clean kitchen paper and just go around. I had no trouble. I had one decal come off because I forgot to seal it with UMP decal solutions. That was soon put back in place, but no issues anywhere at all. And I wasn't particularly gentle. Any areas you can't get the cloth in or the tissue in, use a cotton bud and just take your time. There's no rush here. It is going to take a while to do. Don't be too aggressive, and you shouldn't lose any decals at all. And it does add a nice weathered look to the aircraft. So that's it. That's where we're going to leave this today. I thought I'll show the painting in depth a bit more because I do get questions about this quite a lot. Like I say, my way isn't necessarily the best way. But as you can see here, I've got a nice, easily weathered F-15 now, or started to weather. And it's looking good. We've got nice grime on it. We're fully decaled and stenciled. The paintwork looks good. Obviously, you see a bit of shine off the decals. That's not silver, that's just shine. We'll take care of that later with our semi-gloss. And it's coming together really well now. So we've made good headway on this. So not much more to do really. We've got our ordnance, landing gear and things like that. And we are going to add some more weather into it as well. I'd like to add some effects to the heat staining. But that's where we're going to leave it today. So if you've got any questions or what have you, post it in the comments down below and I'll try and help you. Okay, so that's where we're at today. Happy with that. That's looking well. We've had a good start on the weather in the aircraft. We're not going to go too mad with it, but we are going to add a little bit more to it. Paintwork, spot on, just how I envisioned it. Decals, a lot of stencils, not the worst I've done before. At least it's not Russian, because there's a lot of Russian aircraft. But in 172, definitely a bit of a challenge to get off the paper and in position. Yes, a little bit difficult. The masking for all the nose cone and the heat shields, a little bit laborious and tricky, but overall not too bad. Happy how they're looking. Need a bit of heat staining on those. They'll look good. We'll get the burner cans done in the next part probably. And the wash went down great, no problem at all. Left a nice ingrained dirt look to it when we took it off. So happy with that as well. It's looking well. And I'm very happy with the progress. It's the first aircraft I've got this far on in 4 years. 4 years. The last plane I finished was the Raiden, the 132 Hasegawa Raiden. Somebody asked about the P-51 the other day. It's still there. It's still there. I think I made a mistake with that. I think I went too big too soon. I think I should have started with something small like this and worked our way up. But it's there. It's going nowhere. I do plan to get back to it. We made a good start on that. In fact, the box fell off the shelf in the bedroom last night and scared the crap out of me about 4 a.m. in the morning. It just leapt off of its own accord. Maybe it's something telling me to build it. I don't know. But I'm happy with this. It's turned out well. It's built up all right. A little bit of fit issues here and there, but I'm happy with the paint finish. The decal's great. Happy with that Firebird scheme. That looks great. And like I say, what we've got, let's see, we've got the burner cans, we've got the landing gear, we've got the ordnance. Not a lot of ordnance to do, thankfully, in a way. Kind of wish you had it, kind of glad it doesn't. The loadout's quite small because it's the D-Day one. I don't have the rest of the ordnance, so it is what it is. We'll go with what we've got. So I'm hoping 2 more parts, maybe we'll get this done. I'm looking forward to giving it a satin coat. I've never really satin coated my aircraft before. I've always gone either as they are now or a matte coat. A matte coat can make it look a bit sterile sometimes, so I think a semi-gloss might add a bit of interest to it. So that's what we'll do at the end as well. So looking forward to get this one done. It would be nice getting aircraft off the bench. We can get back to the bike then. Yeah, I think we'll get this plane done, then go back to the bike. So I've got one of them done. Well, I've been building 2 things that I'm struggling to build at once. And once the bike's done, I think we'll crack out that M10 Hellcat piece of armour as well. That's the plan. Anyway, so there we are. As always, got any questions or comments, please post them down below. And if you'd like to support the channel, there's links in the description down below for Patreon, PayPal, and Buy Me a Coffee. And of course, check out all the links down below. You've got my Amazon storefront where all the products, some of the products listed are there, so you can go and buy them. I've also got a big list of products of nearly everything I use in my videos, from the cameras, the paints, airbrushes, everything and everything. And there's links to ISM, UMP, the Off Air Hangout group, the Live the Bench page, all the different areas. And then my Paul ISM Facebook page as well. You can look at all my personal modelling work. There's updates of this on there, so you see different pictures and what have you. And of course, make sure to subscribe to the channel, give a thumbs up, and click that bell notification, and leave a comment. Happy to read everyone's comments. Not a lot on the first video. Thought I might have got a bit more interest. Not a lot of views as well. So hey, everyone keeps asking me to build aircraft, and I do, and then I get no interest. So don't know. What do we say about that one? And if you are still watching, what kind of question? How about you lot ask me a question for a change? Just not anything. Anything. Ask me a question down below. This could be dangerous, this, couldn't it? Ask me a question down below, and I'll try and answer it. So yeah, for once, you look and ask me a question. Doesn't have to be modern related. Anything you want to know, ask me a question down below. Let's see how many people get this far, because not many of you people do. So thanks for watching today. I will see you all soon. Not sure what the video will be, but it'll be something. Enjoy the rest of day, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.